I was born in 1950. That makes me a classic baby boomer. We were the generation that was supposed to have it all figured out. We grew up in a time of great optimism, and the world just seemed full of promise and endless possibilities. My early life felt like a page from a storybook with clear steps to follow. You went to school, you got good grades, you went to college, then you started a career that would last a lifetime. That was the plan anyway. For many of us, life had other ideas. It turned out the road wasn't as straight as we thought it would be. My own journey took an unexpected turn early on. I started college, just as I was expected to. I was excited about the future. But, something didn't quite click. The structured world of academia felt confining. I found myself more interested in the world outside the classroom walls. After a couple of years, I made a decision that surprised everyone, including myself. I dropped out. It felt like a monumental failure at the time. My parents were worried. My friends didn't understand. I felt like I had stepped off the well-lit path and into the dark woods without a map. Without a degree, my options seemed limited. I needed to work, so I took a job in retail. I sold clothes at a local department store. It wasn't the glamorous career I had once dreamed of, but it paid the bills. I learned a lot about people in that job. I learned how to listen. I learned how to handle difficult customers. I learned about inventory and sales goals. It was a different kind of education, one that was grounded in the real world. I was learning skills that would prove to be more valuable than I could have ever imagined at the time. Looking back, that decision to leave college shaped everything that followed. It forced me to be resourceful. It taught me that there are many ways to build a life. The path isn't always linear. Sometimes, the detours are where you discover your true strengths. It was a humbling experience, but it was also empowering. I was making my own way, on my own terms. That early stumble taught me a lesson in resilience. It was a lesson I would need to draw upon many times in the decades to come, as my journey continued to unfold in ways I never could have predicted. After my time in retail, I found my way into the world of higher education. But I wasn't a student this time. I was an employee. I started in an administrative role at a small local college. The work was steady and the environment was stimulating. I was surrounded by learning and ideas. Over the next 40 years, I moved between different universities and colleges. I held various positions, from department assistant to program coordinator. Each job was a new chapter, with its own set of challenges and rewards. I watched generations of students come and go. I saw campuses transform. My career was a patchwork quilt of experiences. I learned how to manage budgets. I helped organize major academic conferences. I supported faculty and guided students through complex administrative processes. The work was often demanding, but it was also meaningful. I felt like I was part of something important. But the world of work was changing. Technology was evolving at a rapid pace. The skills that were valuable one day became obsolete the next. I had to learn new software, adapt to new systems, and constantly prove my worth in a competitive environment. It was a long and winding road. Then, after more than a decade in one position, the unexpected happened. The university announced a major restructuring. My job was eliminated. I was in my 40s, and suddenly I was unemployed. The shock was immense. I had dedicated so much of my life to that institution. I had built relationships and a reputation. In an instant, it was all gone. The loss was more than just financial. It was a blow to my identity. Who was I without my job? The future felt terrifyingly uncertain. I was adrift, and the shore seemed very far away. Finding new work was a struggle. My age felt like a barrier. My experience seemed to be overlooked. I sent out countless resumes and went on several interviews. The rejections were disheartening. Each note chipped away at my confidence. I felt like I was being told that my time was over, that my skills were no longer relevant. It was a humbling and painful period. The world I had known for so long had changed, and I was struggling to find my place in it. The stability I had taken for granted was gone. I had to dig deep to find the strength to keep going. During those difficult years of job searching, one thing remained constant: the unwavering support of my spouse. My wife's job became our lifeline. Her steady income kept our family afloat. It paid the mortgage and put food on the table. But her support was much more than just financial. He was my rock. She listened to my fears and frustrations without judgment. She reminded me of my strengths when I could only see my weaknesses. Her belief in me never wavered, even when my own belief was faltering. Her presence was a quiet, constant reassurance that we would get through this together. Our family became a team. We had to make adjustments. We cut back on expenses. We postponed vacations. We found joy in simple things, like a shared meal or a walk in the park. My children, who were young teens by then, also rallied around me. They offered words of encouragement and helped with my job search. Their love and support were a powerful source of strength. It was a difficult time, but it brought us closer. We learned that our family was more resilient than we ever knew. We were a unit, bound together by love and a shared commitment to weathering the storm. The experience taught me a profound lesson about partnership. A marriage is not just about sharing the good times. It is about standing together when the winds of fortune change. It is about being each other's anchor in a turbulent sea. My spouse's steady hand on the tiller guided us through the roughest waters. She never made me feel like a burden. Instead, she made me feel like we were on a shared journey, navigating the challenges as equals. Her grace and generosity during that time deepened our bond in ways I cannot fully express. This period of hardship ultimately strengthened our family foundation. It stripped away the non-essentials and revealed what truly mattered. We learned that security is not found in a job title or a paycheck. It is found in the love and support of the people who stand by you no matter what. That time of struggle was a gift in disguise. It showed us the true meaning of resilience. It taught us that as long as we had each other, we could face any challenge that came our way. We were a family, and that was our greatest strength. Eventually, my persistence paid off. I found a new position at another university. It was a different role, with new responsibilities. It required me to adapt and learn quickly. This new job marked a turning point. It was not just a return to work, it was a chance for a fresh start. I was grateful for the opportunity and determined to make the most of it. I embraced the challenges and committed myself to becoming a valuable member of the team. This new chapter was built on the lessons I had learned from my past experiences, both good and bad. This role also highlighted the incredible value of my 40-plus years in higher education. I had a deep understanding of how universities work. I knew the culture, the politics, and the rhythms of the academic year. This institutional knowledge was a significant asset. I could anticipate problems before they arose. I could navigate complex bureaucracies with ease. I could offer insights that younger colleagues might miss. My experience was not a liability, it was my superpower. It gave me a unique perspective and a quiet confidence in my abilities. The workplace continued to change, and I had to change with it. New technologies were constantly being introduced. Email gave way to instant messaging. Paper files were replaced by cloud-based storage. Meetings moved online. I had to learn how to use new software and adapt to new ways of collaborating. At times, it was daunting, but I realized that adapting was not optional. It was essential for survival. I took workshops, asked for help, and slowly but surely, I kept up. I learned that continuous learning is not just for students. It is a lifelong necessity. My career in higher education was a long and fulfilling journey. It provided stability, but it also demanded constant growth. It taught me the importance of being adaptable and open to change. The benefits were more than just a steady paycheck and good health insurance. It was the satisfaction of contributing to a community of learning. It was the pride of mastering new skills. It was the wisdom gained from navigating decades of change. My career was a testament to the power of perseverance and the rewards of a lifelong commitment to learning and adaptation. Throughout my career, I was always drawn to the idea of self-improvement. I saw colleagues getting new certifications or pursuing advanced degrees. It seemed like the key to getting ahead. There was a constant pressure to do more, to be more. I would read articles about the latest management trends or the most in-demand skills. I felt a need to keep up, to not fall behind. This desire was often driven by a sense of insecurity, a fear that I was not good enough. I was following the herd, chasing the same credentials that everyone else seemed to be chasing. I signed up for several programs over the years. There was a project management course, a leadership workshop, and even an online class in data analytics. I would start with great enthusiasm. I would buy the books, attend the first few sessions, and feel a surge of motivation. I was finally taking control of my professional development. But then, life would get in the way. Work would get busy. Family commitments would pile up. My initial burst of energy would fade, and my good intentions would fall by the wayside. The books would gather dust on my shelf. My commitment to these self-improvement efforts was often shallow. I was going through the motions, but my heart wasn't truly in it. I was more interested in the idea of improving than in the hard work it required. It was easier to dream about being a better leader than to actually practice the difficult skills of leadership every day. I struggled to commit fully. The discipline required to see these programs through to the end was a constant challenge. I would often finish a course feeling like I had checked a box, but without having truly absorbed the lessons. Looking back, I realized I was caught in a cycle. I was chasing external validation instead of focusing on genuine internal growth. I was following trends rather than my own curiosity. This awareness came slowly over time. I began to see that real self-improvement isn't about collecting certificates. It's about a deeper, more personal journey. It's about understanding your own strengths and weaknesses. It's about committing to small, consistent changes over the long term. It was a hard lesson to learn. The siren song of quick fixes is powerful, but true growth requires a different kind of commitment. The day I retired felt like the last day of school. There was a party, some heartfelt goodbyes, and, a feeling of immense relief. Over 40 years of deadlines, meetings, and those early morning alarms were finally over. I was free. The first few weeks, honestly, were a blur of activity. I tackled all the projects I had put off for years. I cleaned out the garage, I organized closets, I digitized old family photos. I felt productive and busy. This was what retirement was supposed to be like, I thought. A time to catch up, to get my house in order. I filled my days with a flurry of activity. I joined a gardening club. I started taking long walks every morning. I met friends for lunch. I was determined not to be one of those retirees who just sits around all day with nothing to do. I created a new routine for myself, one that was packed with hobbies and social events. It felt good to be busy. It gave me a sense of purpose, a reason to get out of bed in the morning. I was checking off items on my retirement to-do list, and, well, it felt like I was succeeding at this new stage of life. But after a few months, a strange feeling began to creep in. The initial excitement started to fade. The projects were completed. The closets were organized. The novelty of my new hobbies began to wear off. I found myself with long, unstructured afternoons and a growing sense of restlessness. The busyness that had once felt so fulfilling now felt like a distraction. It was like I was running from something, but I wasn't sure what it was. A feeling of boredom began to set in, followed by a vague sense of confusion. The structure that had defined my life for so long was gone. There was no schedule to follow, no deadlines to meet, no problems to solve. I was the master of my own time, but I found the sheer emptiness of it all to be overwhelming. The freedom I had craved now felt like a void. I would wake up in the morning and think, what am I going to do today? The question echoed in the silence of my quiet house. I was retired, but I was also adrift. The great unwinding had begun, but I was not prepared for the feelings of aimlessness that came with it. My restlessness grew into a quiet anxiety. The long, empty days felt like a judgment. I had worked my whole life for this freedom, so why did I feel so lost? I thought of the poet Dylan Thomas, who wrote, "Do not go gentle into that good night." I wasn't ready to go gentle. I still had energy. I still had a desire to contribute, but I didn't know where to direct it. The world seemed to be moving on without me. My former colleagues were busy with their work. My friends were occupied with their own lives. I felt disconnected, like a ghost in my own life. I found myself looking back, wondering about the past. The baseball great Satchel Paige famously said, "Don't look back, something might be gaining on you." But I couldn't help it. I replayed my career in my mind, the successes and the failures. I wondered if I had made the right choices. Had I made a difference? The questions swirled in my head, offering no easy answers. The feeling of being untethered was deeply unsettling. I had lost my professional identity, and I didn't know what was left. I was struggling with a profound sense of irrelevance. I tried to find solace in the words of thinkers and writers, I reread Henry David Thoreau's Walden, where he wrote about living deliberately. He said, "I went to the woods because I wished to live deliberately, to front only the essential facts of life." I wanted to live deliberately too. But what were the essential facts of my new life? I felt like I was living accidentally, just letting the days pass me by. The boredom was a heavy blanket. It smothered my motivation and left me feeling lethargic and worried about the future. This emotional journey was a roller coaster. Some days I would wake up feeling optimistic, ready to seize the day. On other days, a wave of melancholy would wash over me, and I would struggle to find the energy to do anything at all. The uncertainty was the hardest part. I had always been a planner, someone who liked to have a clear path forward. Now, the path was gone. There was only a wide open field with no map and no compass. My restless heart was searching for a new direction, a new purpose to guide me through this uncharted territory. In an effort to find that new direction, I decided to try learning again. The world had changed so much, and I felt like I needed to catch up. I enrolled in a few online courses. One was about digital marketing, and another was on basic web design. I thought that maybe I could do some consulting work, using my years of experience in a new way. The idea was exciting. It felt like a concrete plan, a way to re-engage with the professional world on my own terms. For a little while, the old spark of ambition returned. I set up a home office and created a schedule for myself. I was determined to succeed. The first couple of weeks went well. I was learning new things and it felt stimulating. I even started to sketch out a business plan for a small consulting practice. But then the old habits began to creep back in. The pull of the past was strong. I found myself getting distracted. The discipline that had been so easy to maintain in a structured work environment was much harder to find when I was my own boss. The TV was always there. The garden needed weeding. The initial momentum slowed to a crawl. My old patterns of procrastination, the same ones that had sabotaged my self-improvement efforts years ago, returned with a vengeance. It was a frustrating realization. I had hoped that retirement would be a chance to reinvent myself, to become a more disciplined, more focused person. But I was still me. The same habits, the same tendencies were still there. Trying to re-enter the workforce, even on a part-time basis, felt like trying to run a race with weights tied to my ankles. The struggle was internal. This experience was a humbling lesson. It showed me that simply changing my circumstances did not automatically change me. Building new habits is hard work, and it requires a level of commitment that I was still struggling to find. The consulting idea didn't fail because the market wasn't there. It faltered because I wasn't fully there. I was caught between the desire for a new purpose and the comfort of my old routines. The challenge was not about learning new skills. It was about overcoming the inertia of a lifetime of old habits. Feeling defeated by my attempt at consulting, I turned to research. I started reading articles and books about retirement. I went online and found forums where other retirees shared their stories. As I read, a comforting realization began to dawn on me. I was not alone. The feelings of boredom, restlessness, and uncertainty that I was experiencing were not unique to me. They were common threads in the stories of so many others who had made the transition from a long career to retired life. So many people were asking the same questions I was. This discovery was a profound relief. It lifted a weight off my shoulders. I had thought that my struggles were a personal failure, a sign that I was somehow doing retirement wrong. But I learned that this is a shared journey. Millions of baby boomers are navigating this same uncharted territory. We are a generation that defined ourselves by our work, and now we are collectively trying to figure out who we are without it. There is a shared sense of loss, but there is also a shared search for new meaning and purpose. I learned that the transition to retirement is a major life event, on par with starting a career or raising a family. It is a process of reinvention. It requires patience, self-compassion, and a willingness to experiment. There is no one-size-fits-all answer. For some, the answer is volunteering. For others, it is travel or a new hobby. For many, it is simply the process of slowing down and learning to be present in the moment. The key, I realized, is to stay curious and open to a world of new possibilities. The journey to find meaning in retirement is ongoing. It is not a destination you arrive at, but a path you walk every day. And it starts not with having all the answers, but with asking the right questions. What am I curious about? What brings me joy? How can I contribute to the world in a way that feels meaningful to me? These are the questions that can begin to illuminate the path forward. Realizing that I share this journey with so many others has given me a renewed sense of hope. We are all in this together, and the next chapter is still waiting to be written.